Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When it comes to home and auto insurance, it's important to have the right coverage from a company and an agent you can trust. Someone who will help you properly protect the people and things you love most. So if the unexpected happens, you and your family can rest insured. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going well. We're back here today recording a podcast I think folks will be really excited about and talking about something newish at Farm Bureau, right?
Yeah, it's funny to think about new because this program is, I guess this is going to be its third year. And so for us in the office, we see all the emails. And of course, we read every single email you guys send us. But for the counties, it takes a minute. We got to get used to things and get into the program. But the Legacy Farm program, I think, is one that's people are catching on quick.
Yeah. It's been really a neat thing. You know, I go around the state interviewing farmers and how many generations have been on? 5, 6, 4, you know, like all these different generations been doing it for a century, been doing it for this. It's just a way, you know, we like to honor our farmers and different things. And what another neat idea. It doesning really have a lot of rules to it. It's just you right. It's just
So just to cover it, I don't know if we really go into detail in this podcast on this one. So this will be your disclaimer of what it is. The Legacy Farm Award is nominated by the County Farm Bureau, and I believe there is so many they can nominate per year. But they submit those, and once they're in, we trust those county boards to kind of make that nomination. And when they're selected, they get this beautiful sign they can put on their farm. There is an incredible breakfast at the annual meeting, and it's not because of the food. It's just because of the camaraderie. We always have a really dynamic speaker. The names are all on the screens that are kind of scrolling through. And I'll be honest with you, outside of that room as people are walking in is some of the coolest moments because sometimes these legacy farms haven't, maybe not all those generations that are still there in farming get to go to the annual meeting together anymore. Yeah. And so it gives them a reason for father, son, grandfather, or mother and daughter to also all be in the same place. You talk about some neat family reunions out in that hallway and then reuniting with farmers they sat on boards with years ago. It's just an incredible moment. And you'll hear in this podcast, some of these counties are taking it past just thanking that farmer. They're kind of taking it as a chance to bring some history back to the county and help with the farming history, which I think is pretty neat. Yeah,
and I think, you know, when we interview other contests or other things that we do at Farm Bureau, like the Outstanding Young Farm Family Contest, those kind of things, what I think is interesting kind of side conversations with those contestants is how much they almost appreciated doing the application, even if it's hard, because it gave them a reason to kind of look back and think, and we actually did pretty good this year, or, you know, and I think that's probably part of this too, is like maybe just, sure, these people probably know they've had a farm for lifetimes, but it's rehashing that and thinking about it and going, yeah, we actually have been doing this for, you know, this is pretty cool. So I think that's been probably a benefit for a lot of farms, and why I think a lot of people think it's a neat thing. It's just, it is the looking back and kind of going, this is neat. You know, we've been here, right here, for this many generations or years or whatever, right?
And it's different. It's not your young farm family and you're the top of the applicants this year. And it's not the farmer of the year where you're the top of the applicants for the year. It's really looking at your county and saying, hey, this county sees the legacy that you've left not only with your family, but in this community. And I think they all mean a lot to everyone, but it's just that piece we were missing, and I don't think any of us realized till it got put in place, and people are just absolutely embracing it. And the signs are everywhere. I mean, there's one on the West Kentucky Parkway when I'm coming back, so on the eastbound on the West Kentucky Parkway, I see it every time, and I always elbow my husband if he's snoozing in the passenger seat, and I go, hey, look, there's Legacy Farm. And they have it right on their road front on West Kentucky. So it matters to the farmers as well, which I think is important. Why have a program if they don't, embrace it as well?
Yeah, and we're all over the state. This particular guest today is in East Kentucky. Doesn't necessarily have this big, sprawling, giant farm, but that his farm matters. His farm has been a part of Kentucky and a part of this community for generations, and so I think that's another neat part is that we're able to go all over the state with this program, and I'm happy we're having that kind of farmer here today, right?
Yeah, you guys will really like John Paul. He's He is. I love getting people that sound like the area they're from. They just eat, sleep, and breathe it. And he's Elliott County. And that's what we wanted because as a flatlander, I know what my row crop guys out west are and my cattle guys. But man, you get these East Kentucky guys, they have some of the most unique stories of how they've kind of kept it going in situations that some of us in flatland would be shocked to even think about riding a tractor over. So he talks a little bit about that, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. So I think people are going to love today's podcast.
Yeah, so without further ado, I'm Renee Carrico.
And I'm Matt Hilton.
And this is Between the Rows. All right, well, how's it going, Mr. John Paul?
Doing good.
Thank you for coming up today. How was the drive in to Louisville?
It was good.
You got some travels right after this, right?
Yeah. We're going to Tennessee, see my youngest grandson.
Excellent. That'll be fun.
We are glad to give you a reason to leave town and just not go back for a minute. That's good.
There you go. Yeah, we had to get up early to check everything before we left, though, but it was worth it.
Well, let's kick it off then. Tell us where you're from and kind of what you guys do at home.
Elliott County, Sandy Hook, and we raise sheep and cattle, and got a few hogs, but we've sold a bunch of them out last little bit. So, my wife, we've talked about the legacy. My granddaddy, the farm that we live on, we're third generation farmers. He bought it around 58, 57. A lot of the dates I probably won't get right, but I asked Dad this week, trying to catch up on some of the stuff, and he bought it around that time. He worked for Ashenola, which is Marathon now, and he was in a bad accident. They had a blow up or something like that, So he come home and was a full-time farmer. And when I got old enough, we lived probably about not hardly half a mile from him, and maybe less than that. All the farm joined together we lived on. So when I got old enough to walk, I walked down there. And he's my legacy.
Yeah.
And Dad was a pipe fitter, and then he taught welding school for a little while, and then in the 80s, work was slow. There wasn't no pipe fitting work. Him and my uncle, they've come full-time farmers there for a few years. That was probably some of the best memories of my life. We raised the tobacco, and him and my uncle did, and square baled hay, and that was probably the best farming years. Seemed like the family worked together, so we had a good time there. But I spent most of my youth growing up with my granddaddy, and we talking about my grandsons. I got 3 grandsons, and I'm granddaddy. So
I love that. Yeah. I think it's funny that tobacco and square baling was your 2 best, those are the years of the best memories, because there's a lot of people that say those are the worst tasks and the worst things. But you're right. Being on that hay wagon, that is where you learn things. Yeah. You hear stories. I mean, that is some good times.
And it was, we didn't have it hooked up to the baler. We walked beside of it. And my grandfather, my granddaddy, he didn't put it in low range when we picked it up either.
So y'all were scooting.
He was running, yeah. And we sold hay that year. Well, most of the time we took it up to Paceville Flea Market up in Johnson County. You'd peddle hay out up there. Sometimes you'd have 7, 8 trucks lined up selling hay, and then what we didn't sell, we took strip mines and they used it for reclaiming. Oh, okay. And then when I got up, my granddaddy, he'd give me a cow. So that's how I started out in the cattle business. But then one cow ended up in 2 cows, and then, now, and then he gave me a backer crop, gave me like 3,000 pounds, and that's how I bought my first truck. So, like you said, we was talking earlier, you got to love it. I mean, and he taught me a lot of things. He sure did. You got to love to work. I mean, it's a hard job. A lot of people say, just like this morning, I had to get up at 4 o'clock this morning, go check my sheep, my cows and stuff before I come. And it's something you just don't take off and go for a week vacation. You got to make sure somebody's there to check on everything. Mm-hmm. So,
What's the pride of knowing that you guys have been generational? That this is a thing that's had lasting. You know, what's that pride feel like for you?
Well, there's days that sometimes you look at yourself and you think, "What in the world am I doing?" You know, sometimes you get so aggravated. You know, when you something goes wrong. You know, like you lose a calf. Just like about a month ago, I had a cow, had a calf, and her back feet the back feet on the calf was turned, and I worked and you know, trying to save that calf. But then there's some days that you just look and you get back up on top of the hill and you look down at the farm and everything, just like right now, everything's greening up and you got a bunch of calves running around, and like I said, we've got lambs on the ground, and you just think God has blessed me, and you just think, man, I love this. You know, it's just a great feeling, you know. But that's one thing my grandfather taught me. I mean, he's pride in it. There sure is. I mean, most of all, I mean, you got to put God first. And somebody said, me and my son one time, I got tickled the other day. Somebody said something about praying for a cow or a camel. A camel, that's what it was. At church, I don't know if you could pray about for animals or not. I said, I prayed for many. You know?
No kidding.
My uncle, Lynn, he's a vet down in Winchester. And years ago, my son, which we're going to go see here after a while, I had a cow got acorn poison. And we went up there and found her in the creek. And I called my Uncle Lynn what to do. And he told me to give her a bunch of penicillin and some molasses and stuff. And my son, he was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7. And I gave that cow about 100 cc's of penicillin. I know it peel the hair off of it, you know. And I thought, well, she was laying there and frost was over top of her back. And I had a big old long neck whiskey bottle I found in one old smokehouse. And I filled that up full of warm molasses and I stuck it down her throat. And me and my son laid hands on that cow and we prayed over it. It's deer season. I remember it so well. Mm-hmm. And I went back the next morning. She's gone. Didn't see her for 2 or 3 days. I thought, well, she's laid off and died. About 4 days later, she come down the house. Mm-hmm. I had about 4, and she stayed on that farm till she died. Mm-hmm. I mean, I kept her for years. She never slipped a hair.
Wow.
That's the power of prayer right there. Uh-huh. That's what makes it enjoyable.
Yeah.
When stuff like that happens, you know.
You bet. And, those are the things that make you just keep doing it.
Oh, yeah.
You hear about it all the time. All the farms I've visited. You know, I liked your line. I got a cow, and I got 2. And
yeah.
I got, like there's things we hear a lot when we interview folks and meet people, but the passion stuff is really neat.
Yeah.
You got to love it, right?
And like you say, legacy. I mean, that's a legacy. You know, like Granddaddy. You know, I taught youth group. I don't know. It's been 15 or 20 years ago. You know, they had them bracelets that said, "What would Jesus do?" And I think on the farm, every time I get in trouble or something, I think, what would Granddaddy do? You know, I mean, that's what I think, especially like cutting hay or a cow or something like that. Well, what would Granddaddy do in this situation? And but legacy is something that I cherish. I mean, I got 3 grandsons, and I hope, and that's something else I've learned over the years. With my children and my grandchildren, is I ain't gonna push them into it. If they want to do it, they'll do it. But they gotta have it. They gotta have the heart to do it, you know. And I was never pushed into farming, but I had the heart to do it, you know. And my wife, me and her dad raised sheep since he was 20-some years old. We never had a sheep on our farm that I knowed of. And me and her got married, and we fooled around with her dad's. And when he got sick, we brought him to our house, and he stayed there till he died. And talking about legacy. He said that was his last one of his dying wishes, that we take his flock of sheep. So we brought him to our house. And as of right now, I think this year, that bloodline's been in her family for 70 years.
Oh, wow.
So we hope to continue, maybe hoping one of the grandkids will take that up and keep it going on. So that's a legacy to me right there, you know.
Mm-hmm. So. I think that's so neat. A lot of times we think of the exact lineage that farm comes through. So whether that's the father's side, the mother's side, but it's always that exact farm name that passes down. But we find that a lot as we record these podcasts. Both sides of a lot of these marriages have, whether they've moved across the state, across the country, they have their own legacy. And I think that's kind of some of the coolest stories is how do you embrace that other half so your kids get a chance to do that. And that kind of ties right into diversification too. And that's what I was going to ask next. So you talk about years of tobacco, years of square baling, years of cattle. You had pipe fitters, you had coal miners.
Right.
Do you think diversifying and the willingness of so many generations to try something new is why you're able to have something that your grandkids might see one day?
Yeah. See, and that's another thing. And a lot of older farmers was afraid to try stuff new. And this year, in January, I joined the soil conservation. Well, my granddad was on that, okay? And he always tried something new. He was probably one of the rarest older farmers that would try the new stuff, you know, and they tried the no-till planting and stuff back in early years, you know, and it was nothing. And I've always, and he was the first one there on the creek to get a hay bind or a tractor. I mean, he wasn't scared to try new things. Back when we always vaccinated cattle, you know, when other people wouldn't, you know, they were still not castrating or not even giving them shots, or some of them were still putting them big old worm tablets down their throats, you know, and some of them wasn't even doing nothing with their cattle. I mean, I feel like our farm back in the 70s and 80s, of course, I was just born in 73, but from what I can gather from my dad, we was far ahead of what other people was, because my granddaddy wasn't afraid to try new things, you know, and I've never been afraid to try new things, you know. And that was something that was passed on down. What I got thinking, like tobacco, I raised tobacco about 4 years after the buyout. I mean, but we done some test plots with extension, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but don't be scared to try new things, you know. But it ain't for everybody, you know.
So help people understand, because and I know our listeners know this, I'm a West Kentucky girl transplanted to Central, and so you've heard me say this too, I'm sure, at the meetings. If there's a part of the state I'm still trying to learn and figure my way around the nooks and crannies, it's East Kentucky.
Yeah.
So for those that are unfamiliar, give us kind of maybe the scale of your operation, how many cows we run in, how many sheep, and then where do you sell them? Because I think a lot of people, cattle especially, they're like, oh, I've got 3 bluegrass yards, or I've got Washington County livestock. Yeah. They've got 3 or 4 yards within an hour of them. Versus, I know a lot of my East Kentucky guys, they'll run a lot of head of cattle, but maybe they got to haul a little further, vice versa. So explain, and then maybe where you haul your sheep as well. Just talk through that for me.
Well, you know, in Eastern Kentucky, I mean, we got a lot of hill ground. We ain't got a lot of tillable ground. I mean, we lost tobacco. We lost a living. We lost our living. Just put it where it's at. I mean, a lot of people just quit farming. I mean, and I run 16 cows, and the farm that my granddad's farm, and I got 68 acres. What I got. Of course, it was my dad's part. There's 5 kids, and the farm was split up. But I've got my part that Dad gave me, and then I farm my uncle's part, and it all joins together. And then I lease a couple farms up the road. You can't do a whole lot with that many acres with cows, you know. And we run about 40 ewes, but you can run a whole lot of sheep on a lot less ground. But and as far as the market part, we've got Flemingsburg and Mount Sterling. I mean, you got to go pretty good ways. But now, the sheep part, that was pretty hard for us for a long time. We was taking them to Mount Hope up in Ohio, because the prices wasn't no good around here. But now the last few years, we've sold with Bluegrass and Flemingsburg, and Corey and them's done us great. I mean, we've done good. I mean, and I'm really glad for that. We've got some buyers here that we can actually sell at home. You know? And but we do fire. I mean, cattle prices up right now, and I hope they stay that way. You know, we had us a little business going about 2 years ago. About almost 2 years ago now. We was selling meat. We was selling beef and pork and lamb, but after the cattle went up, I couldn't justify selling beef because it was just, you couldn't do it. I mean, you know, it wasn't feasible. So we stepped back from that for a while. So, but like I said, the market's good now. That's the way farming is. It's a gamble. I mean, you know, sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. But you just got to ride the waves. That's all you can do.
I just think I always ask, and it's not to call out a smaller, quote unquote, smaller herd. It's really to show the resiliency of working with what you have around you.
Right.
Because a 16 cow herd in Washington County would be laughable to some people.
Right.
But a 16 cow herd maintained and doing all those practices since the 70s and 80s in East Kentucky, that's incredible. And being able to have someone full-time farming over there, that just shows the resiliency and really working with what you have and can do around you. So yeah, I say that in an absolutely positive way. I think it helps people get some perspective. It's one of the best parts about Kentucky, in my opinion, is from one end to the other, you can see so much different landscape.
Right.
But the farming, the pride, the joy, the love, it's the same end to end. But the way you practice your resilience, the way you persevere is different just because of what the hands you're dealt. And I think it's interesting.
Well, and I think, not to cut anybody down or nothing, but now your cattle health, you get 16 head of cattle, you're going to take care of them.
Yep.
I mean, you know, and you're going to watch them cows calve. I mean, you know, I mean, it broke my heart when I lost that little calf the other day. I mean, there's $1,500 down the drain right now, you know, what way they're bringing. And then you got other people that, you know, that ain't me. If that calf, but I've always been this way. If that calf was still brought $300,
right,
I've been tore up because that's a life to me, you know. I don't like losing any animals. Well, I mean, like the sheep, you know, sheep, sometimes you lose, they're hard to raise sometimes, but, you know, I always want to live an animal. I mean, I ain't into it to just let them all die, you know. And that's the small herds. I mean, Eastern Kentucky, we fight for what we got. I mean, we don't have the great big pastures. We ain't got we have hill land. We got what our animals eat. They fight for it too. I mean, you know, and we, just like when we raised tobacco, I mean, we plowed up every little flat place we could, and I've raised tobacco on places that we had on the tractor that we had cylinders that raised the side of the setter up so we could plant tobacco on it. I mean, hey, if you'd seen some of the places that we raised tobacco, these people, these flatlanders, they ain't no way. We've had my father-in-law, when we raised his tobacco on 1504, we had to hook a tractor to the truck to pull it up the hill to get it to the barn. That's how steep the tobacco patches was.
Makes my little flatlander heart nervous just thinking about it.
We Eastern Kentucky people, we work for our farms. I mean, and stacking. I never did. I know she's going to kill me for this one, but we was a little bit flatter over in my country. But I never did know anything about stacking tobacco in the field until I went over to start courting my wife. They go out there and they'll stack it all in big old piles for the night, and then they'll come and pull up beside it and load it on the wagon. And then they'll take it to the barn. I thought, what in the world are these people doing? You know, because we, over toward Iceville country, Middle Fork, we got ours pretty real flat. But now you get over toward the 504 country, now that's some steep ground. But now we've raised some pretty steep ground in tobacco. I mean, last year we had 30,000 pounds, and you work for it. sometimes I miss it. And then I get to think about all the hard times we had, but we worked. We sure did.
So talk through the sheep portion, and you sit on our sheep and goat advisory committee,
yes,
and we appreciate that. And for our listeners that don't understand that, we actually our leadership team looks through a list that we kind of gather out of the field of producers in each of our commodities that are kind of going to be experts or have perspectives from different ends of the state. And so you've been sitting on sheep and goat for a few years now, and
Yes.
that's where I get to interact with you. Talk through maybe what type of sheep you have, because I don't know if we've had many sheep producers on here. So talk through maybe the type of sheep you have, how you're marketing them, because there's some pretty drastic difference when it comes to sheep than it is cattle. When it comes to, what you're weaning, when you're selling, those kind of things that I think are interesting.
Yeah. Well, we have wool sheep, and you don't see very many of them either. Mm-hmm. And I tried to talk my wife to getting her sheep, but ain't no way.
She's one room over. You guys can't see her, but we didn't know we were protecting him, so he could say what he wanted.
Yeah. Keep that door locked. But we have, and that's something else that we've encountered since we've had them, is finding people to shear them. Mm-hmm. And we've got a boy from Fleming County. He comes shear them. He comes once a year and shears them. I mean, we used to shear them twice a year. We just do it once. But we had a few hair sheep before, but I'd rather have the wool sheep. I don't know. It seems like they're more docile and seem like we have better luck with them. I mean, but I enjoy them. I do. I mean, it's I guess we've had them for probably 20-some years, 23 years. She's giving me the hand motion. But we've built us a sheep barn, or she did, and we got us some stalls, and pretty nice stalls, and we're trying to probably increase more on that. I really, because you can feed a whole lot more sheep than you can cattle, and take a lot less land, and like I said, you can have twins and triplets. We've had a couple had triplets. We had some had 4 before, and sometimes they'll raise them, sometimes they won't. But like I said, we finally got a market here at home. It's doing good and better. I know down in Flemingsburg they had I believe it was Friday. I believe it was. They had a sheep and goat sale, and they sold like 1,750 head, and they done good. We was late. We had lost a ram. We had 2 young rams, so we ain't gonna hit that Easter market this year. So we're gonna have to wait till about June to sell ours. But that's the thing too. You learn, you hit them markets and get them bred, and everything's learning. Every year we learn. I mean, even over 20 years, we learn something new every year. I mean, with the sheep, and but I enjoy them. I do. I really do. And she does for sure. We usually have one in the house every year. Sometimes we have to bottle feed one if the mommy don't take it, or if you have triplets, So, and we've had 2 baby pigs in the house this year. We've never raised pigs on a bottle before. We had a sow that couldn't have them, and we had to put her down. She had 2 that lived, so usually we have some kind of animal in our house besides me. So, I mean, that's how much we enjoy farming.
You bet.
I mean, we don't care to bring them in the house to save them.
Yeah.
But we usually had, and we had to sell the bottle lamb at the market Saturday, so we could go on our trip, because we was afraid nobody take care of it while we was gone. Mm-hmm. So,
I'm amazed how many people want a bottle lamb. I got friends at home, and they say if you put it on, well, you're not supposed to put animals on Facebook Marketplace, but if you put it on Facebook Marketplace, or you put it on these kind of selling groups or whatever, they said, oh my gosh, we can get these things moved in no time. People I think it's some people that grew up in rural areas, they want their kids to learn responsibility. Yeah. And kids love a baby animal, but she said, oh, we got a bottle lamb. We can get rid of that pretty quick, and we know it's taken care of. This whole family shows up in a minivan and a dog crate. And I'm like, my gosh.
Yeah. So they went crazy over at the market. I mean, and it coming to Easter, here, get you a baby lamb put in your Easter basket, I mean, we didn't want to do it that way, but I mean,
I think Austin's getting to see pictures of this lamb in your house
right
now.
Is he checking it out? Yeah. Talk about a little bit about when did you learn about the Legacy Farm program, and explain it. We can help as well. What is this program, and what was interesting about it?
Well, actually, I mean, I know it's a new program, but last year, we kind of reason I got it was almost a deadline, and we really didn't know much about it. And it was like 2 days before the deadline, we had a meeting. So I was a third generation farmer, so George was our APD, and I said, well, we picked two there of our board that was third generation farmer, and we put it on it. So with 2 days there, we didn't have time to choose anybody, so we got two off the board. And this year we got a couple listed, and it's going to grow. So, I mean, it's a new program going on anyhow, so we hope to been brainstorming, and hopefully we can grow this in our county and get more people involved in it, because we got some fourth and fifth generations probably that I've been studying about, and try to get it out and maybe in the paper and get more people interested in it. But the youth, man, it's everything I try to do. I try to get the youth involved in our church or in our farm. I mean, because they're our future, and the farming future don't look good, especially in Eastern Kentucky, because they just ain't no income, or you got like me. I work for the highway department. I mean, you got to have a second job to farm. I mean, especially in Eastern Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless you, so.
Do you think these legacy farms, you talk about you yourself as a third generation farmer who's been on the board and you're digging to learn these stories. Do you think this award and this process is going to give you all more stories to share with the young generation? Because if they don't know the stories, how do they know their options? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I believe it is, because I know at like my age, I know of one more farmer that's a third generation farmer, that I went to school with. The rest of them, they're out doing other things, and then these, I don't know, it's probably a few more, but I'm hoping by our stories that maybe they'll come out, and like I'm hoping that my three grandsons, or maybe they'll keep the lineage up, but who knows,
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a neat program in the sense of celebrating maybe the past.
Yeah.
But also that idea of
keeping it going.
Yeah, keeping it going,
right.
And keeping people that focus of keeping, because that's a big initiative just with the Farm Bureau, is that farmland transition and keeping people farming, and part of that is legacy, and part of that is keeping the farm in farmland, and whomever that is in the family. Obviously, in a family, it would be great if it can stay within the family, right? Yeah,
just like my middle grandson, he says all the time, he thinks the world of his uncle. He said, every time we're out on the farm, he says, did my Uncle Daniel do this when he was little? I mean, that's a legacy, to me, and that's what I'd like for the youth to do too. So.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to just the impact of Farm Bureau, and we'll kind of round it up, we're going to let you hit the road, but you've been in Farm Bureau for years. You talk about the soil conservation. Generations of farmers have been farming, but I have always found it interesting when it's generations have been involved in organizations or boards.
Right.
When it comes to Farm Bureau, how do you see that in your county? Kind of what do you see as the impact of what you guys get to do as a board for your county?
Wait, just
so like as a board, do you feel like you guys get to have that kind of impact and legacy with some of these youth and different organizations?
Yeah, I mean, I over the years, I think our county's seeing more Farm Bureau what we are, other than the insurance. I think, not to say anything bad about other boards, but I think over the years that we've had more of an impact over the last few years than we used to.
Yeah. I
think a lot of people thought Farm Bureau was just an insurance company, didn't know that we had done more than what we do. I think people's got to see that we do more than just an insurance company, especially where like Elliott County, we've got done a lot more in the last 10 years probably than they ever done. I'll just put it where it's at.
Yeah.
I mean, we started shopping with a farmer in the last 2 years. I mean, and we've been buying stuff at our auction for the 4-H, and this month, or I believe next month, I think, we do kids bucks. I mean, we got several programs that we've been doing, and they see at Farm Bureau, and they've got to the point where they look for us to be there, you know. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing on these boards too, just like we was talking Thursday on the Soil Conservation Board, we got a couple that's going to age out, or they're just ain't able to come. Mm-hmm. They ain't no replacements. Nobody's eager to get out, and then you put your heads together and try to figure out somebody that would come on, and you can't think of nobody. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't see nobody that's interested, or young people around that. You know, when we talk about young people at home, and it's just hard to find anybody that's willing and to come in and take their time. You know, but
so is that? I mean, do you think that helps? You know, working with 4-H, working with that. Do you think that's imperative?
I'm hoping that with us doing things and helping with the youth, that they're going to remember that. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like when we're buying their animals, or taking these kids out and buying them something for Christmas, you know, just like the shopping with the farmer, we take them out there and we'll buy them, give $100, $150 a piece for a kid. We buy them $100 worth of clothes and $50 for toys. Hopefully they'll remember that, you know, and then maybe one day they'll want to be on the Farm Bureau board, or maybe they'll want to be a member or something. Same way with buying their animals, or same way with kid bucks, you know. They'll remember Farm Bureau, it's just not an insurance company. We're mm-hmm. helping people, you know. And I think that in our county, I know that people's thought of that, just like paying their membership dues. Everybody, that's something I've had asked me forever and ever. Why we pay membership dues, you know? And they're seeing why now, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've upped our thing to 2 scholarships for high school, you know, and I've had the opportunity. I've been going up there doing that. And when I give my little speech, I've told people, you know, what kind of their memberships is going for, you know, trying to explain, get the word out, information, you know. You can do all you can on the paper or TV, but word of mouth is what gets it, you know. And when they see things happen, then they realize that Farm Bureau is more than the insurance company.
Right.
And I believe they're seeing that in our county finally. Excellent. I mean, it's took a decade, you know, but I think people's finally seeing that we're doing good. And mostly, I mean, it's gonna take a while, I think, but where we've got kids, and now that we've got one young man on our board now that was a 4-H'er that, you know, he's our young farmer. I know I think we're.
So you're starting to see
we're starting to see some impact.
Benefits. Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's a legacy too. I mean, like to try to build that Farm Bureau, that county Farm Bureau into something that's lasting and sticks around. So yeah.
So last question: as a county that has nominated and as a farmer that has been a legacy farm, would you recommend this program for other counties to kind of embrace and do within their communities?
Most definitely. And I hope that we can, and we're going to continue it, and hopefully we'll, after this just the second year that we've done it, you know, that we can get a better system. I mean, like I said, we got in skin of our teeth last year, and this year we didn't do a very good job, but maybe next year we do a better job. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, everything new, it takes a little time to get things worked out, get the bugs worked out of it, and hopefully we get more people knowing about it in our county and getting it fixed where we can get more people involved.
Yeah, I think any chance that, you know, County Farm Bureau, State Farm Bureau, anything can just show some appreciation to these farms for being around and doing their thing all these generations. It's worth doing. So definitely a county should should be searching for these folks.
Yes,
to give them a pat on the back, right?
And that was when it said legacy. That word in itself. I got to thinking, that is what I'm farming for. It's for my granddaddy. It left a legacy in my heart. And I want to leave a legacy to my family. I want to leave a legacy to my community. I want to make sure that I want people to know, we're out here, So this is a great thing, and I want to see it grow even bigger.
Thank you. Well, thank
in
you
our county.
Thank you for traveling up here today and telling us a
no
little about you. And
appreciate y'all thinking of me.
It is a bit of a detour to get to Tennessee, and we understand that. So we do appreciate it.
No big deal.
But thank you so much, and we do plan. We laugh about that in the opening sometimes, that there is a plan. But we really try to get our ends of the state represented on here. And so the fact that you were able to physically be here is just, it makes for the conversation to be incredible. So I can't thank you enough. And thanks for our fact checker in the next room, your wife. She's been big help over there through the window. No, I appreciate you guys, and enjoy the grandbabies this weekend.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, John Paul, and thank you, listeners. Be sure to subscribe to our larger podcast, Kentucky Farm Life, and we'll see you next time on Between the Rows.